Every time a man chases pleasure, something inside him weakens. Not in theory, not in symbolism, in reality. He feels it immediately. After the scroll, after the click, after the release, his mind becomes cloudy, his body feels heavy, his focus disappears, his fire fades. Modern culture tells him it's normal, harmless, even healthy. But his body doesn't believe that lie. His soul doesn't forget the truth. Because deep inside, every man knows. Lust is not a joke. Lust is fire. And fire is never neutral. Fire either builds something powerful or it burns everything to the ground. There is no middle path. You were taught to chase it, to express it, to release it whenever it appears. They told you this was freedom. But the strongest men who ever lived knew something different. They understood restraint was not morality. It was strategy. Napoleon didn't abstain before battle because of rules or religion. He did it because he understood energy. He knew you do not drain your weapon before war. Your energy is your force, your edge, your presence, and wasting it makes you weaker, whether you admit it or not. Look around now. Men are spilling their power over screens, over strangers they will never touch, over fantasies that lead nowhere. They give away the very fuel that could have built them, sharpened them, lifted them above the crowd. And what do they get in return? A few seconds of pleasure, followed by emptiness, numbness, regret, a hollow feeling they try to ignore. They don't even realize they're falling. You see it everywhere. Shoulders slumped, eyes dull, voices weak. Men moving through life with no hunger left, no direction, no fire. Just echoes of who they could have been. This is what happens when lust becomes the master. It doesn't just drain the body, it steals direction. Ambition becomes scattered. Discipline breaks down. Instincts go silent. Every indulgence teaches the same lesson. Choose comfort over power. Choose relief over growth. Choose the easy path instead of the king's path. But this does not have to be where your story ends. This can be the moment everything changes. Somewhere along the way, they told you guilt was the problem, not indulgence, not excess, not addiction. They said the emptiness you felt afterward was just shame, old programming, religious baggage. They told you if you felt bad, something was wrong with you. And you believed them because everyone else did. Teachers, media, experts, friends, maybe even family. They said pleasure was freedom, that saying yes to every urge meant you were evolved, that restraint was weakness, that discipline was repression. But look at the result, a generation overstimulated and underpowered, endless dopamine, broken focus, weak nervous systems, no direction, no hunger, no edge. Addiction became normal. Emotional weakness became normal. Calling indulgence self-love became normal. When you gave yourself away again and again, you taught your nervous system that your most powerful energy was cheap, disposable, meaningless. And that dull feeling afterward, the heaviness in your chest, the quiet disappointment you tried to ignore, that wasn't dysfunction. That was intelligence. That was your inner compass still working. The guilt was not the enemy. It was the signal. The last part of you that still remembered how to respect your own power. The ancients didn't need studies or statistics. They felt it directly. They knew uncontrolled desire was a leak in the vessel, a crack in the foundation. Before endless stimulation, before screens and artificial pleasure, orgasm stood alone as the highest pleasure known to man. It was rare, it was powerful, it was sacred. There was no confusion, no overload. This energy was understood as life force, creative force, the same force that builds civilizations, art, strength, and legacy. It lived inside the man like a flame, not to be extinguished for comfort, but carried with purpose, a hidden ember meant to fuel his mission, not consume it. Ask yourself honestly, if you had guarded that energy from the beginning, where might you be now? What would you have built? Who would you have become? That version of you still exists. He feels distant, but he is not gone. You are fallen, yes, but not lost. Now is the moment to treat this fire with respect, not fear, not shame, respect. To stop seeing it as a burden and start seeing it as a gift. To stop being a slave to impulse. To stop trading your essence for seconds of escape. What remains in you right now is still powerful, and if you protect it, it will guide you back to your path. Men today are told to say yes to everything, every urge, every image, every distraction, and they call it freedom. But you feel the cost now, the weight of that lie, the exhaustion, the sense that you were designed for more than this. The guilt you were taught to silence was never guilt. It was the voice of your higher self, the disciplined masculine. The part of you built for direction, order, and fire trying to wake up again. There is a final version of you waiting to be revealed, not discovered through comfort, revealed through resistance. He shows up every time you say no, no to distraction, no to cheap pleasure, no to habits that drain you, no to voices that tell you weakness is normal. No to people who lack discipline and resent yours. No to a culture that wants you soft, numb, and controllable because your strength reminds them of what they gave up on. Every act of restraint sharpens you. Every moment of discipline carves away what does not belong. You are not adding something new. You are uncovering what was always there. You were not made to remain the same. You were made to evolve. That focused, grounded, powerful version of you is beneath the surface right now. Waiting, patient, silent. And every day you choose control over impulse, he steps closer. Keep going. Guard the fire. Carry it forward. Let it shape you. One day you will walk through the world calm, steady, and unshaken. Not loud, not desperate, not chasing, just present. And people will feel it without you saying a word. The presence of a man who mastered himself. He doesn't rush anymore. He doesn't need to. When a man stops leaking his energy, time begins to move differently around him. Days feel fuller, hours stretch. His mind stops jumping from thought to thought like a trapped animal. Instead, it becomes still, alert, dangerous in a quiet way. He starts noticing things others miss. His posture changes without effort. His eyes become steady. His words carry weight because he no longer wastes them. This is what happens when desire stops dragging you outward and starts pulling you inward. You stop chasing sensations and start commanding them. You realize most urges are not commands. They are tests, and every test you pass sharpens you. Every test you fail teaches your body that it is weak, that it can be overridden, that it must obey impulse instead of intention. But when you hold the line, when you pause instead of reacting, something ancient wakes up inside you, a sense of authority over yourself, and that authority spills into everything. Work becomes cleaner, focus becomes natural. You don't need motivation because your energy is no longer scattered. You wake up with pressure in your chest, not anxiety, but readiness, like something wants to be built through you. This is the energy men used to build cities, lead armies, carve meaning out of chaos. It was never meant to be wasted on endless stimulation. That pressure you feel when you don't release is not tension to escape, it's fuel, and fuel is uncomfortable before it becomes power. The modern world fears discomfort, so it teaches you to eliminate it instantly. Scroll, click, consume, release, sleep, repeat. But growth has never lived in comfort. Fire doesn't apologize for being hot. Steel doesn't soften itself to be pleasant. They transform through pressure. And so do you. When you stop numbing yourself, emotions return. Real emotions, not cheap highs and crashes, but depth. Sadness with clarity, anger with direction, desire with purpose. You stop being reactive. You become deliberate. You don't explode. You don't collapse. You choose. And choice is the true definition of freedom, not indulgence. Anyone can say yes. Saying no requires strength, and strength compounds. The first days are hard. Your body protests. Your mind bargains. Just once, just today. No one will know. But you will know, and your nervous system will remember whether you folded or stood firm. Over time, the urges don't disappear, but they lose their authority. They become background noise instead of commands. You feel taller inside, more solid, less desperate. You stop seeking validation because you are no longer empty. People notice before you do. They feel your presence. They trust you more. Not because you try, but because your energy is contained, directed, grounded. You speak slower. You listen more. You don't rush to impress. And paradoxically, that restraint makes you magnetic. This isn't about becoming cold or detached. It's about becoming whole. When your sexual energy stops leaking, it rises. It feeds your creativity, your ambition, your courage. You start wanting bigger things, harder goals, meaningful challenges. Cheap pleasures stop satisfying because your standards rise. You feel insulted by weakness, especially your own. And instead of hating yourself for past mistakes, you use them as contrast. You remember how numb you felt, how drained, and you refuse to return there. This path is not loud. It won't get applause. Most people won't understand it. Some will mock it. Some will try to pull you back down because your discipline exposes their avoidance. Let them talk. Silence is your ally now. Results will speak for you. There will be moments when you stumble, moments when you fall back into old habits. Do not spiral. Do not self-attack. Observe, correct, continue. Mastery is not perfection, it is persistence. Every time you return to discipline, the groove deepens, the identity strengthens. You are no longer trying to change. You are remembering who you are, a man built for endurance, for focus, for creation. Not a consumer of endless stimulation, but a generator of force. One day you will look back and realize the craving that once controlled you no longer has teeth. It will knock, but you won't answer. And in that silence, in that space you created by saying no, your real life will finally have room to emerge. You will move with intention, speak with certainty, act without hesitation. And when you do choose pleasure, it will be deliberate, earned, and aligned, not compulsive and draining. This is not suppression. This is mastery. This is the difference between a man who reacts and a man who commands. And that man is not a fantasy. He is built choice by choice, moment by moment. Every time you decide your future is worth more than a few seconds of escape. Keep walking this path. Guard the fire. Let it harden you, refine you, and guide you. The world doesn't need more distracted men. It needs men who are present, disciplined, and awake. And that man begins the moment you decide to stop giving your power away.